Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. A new, different background. We'll get into that in a little bit. Welcome to. This is actually the last live stream, 2022. I just kind of realized that this morning. I can't believe the year is almost over. It's been a ugly year on the markets, that's for sure. Thanks for sticking through. I think if we've made it this far, we'll see how 2023 goes. I should have planned something. Maybe we'll do like a New Year's special. We'll get off to a great start. But thanks for everybody for joining. We'll say hi in a minute, but for those that are watching on the replay, thank you. It's always great. And do leave a comment. I've been starting to get some more comments on some of the replays. So if you're watching something and something jumps out at you when you're watching this back, leave me a comment. I like to hear those as well too. And on that note, if you are watching a replay, you can always catch us live 8 o'clock Pacific time to about 8:45. We usually go for about 45 minutes every day, Monday to Friday. So it's a good conversation. We always get a good crew on here, and we'll say good mornings to who is here. Let's see who's here today. Brian's here. Good morning, Brian. Good to have you back. Always nice. Get my coffee here. I've spilled half of it off the side of the rim, but coffee is hot, so is good. Hopefully everybody has their coffee in hand wherever they are. And Stan, happy Friday. Happy New Year's, almost Eve. And MC, welcome. Always good to have you here. Always appreciate it, and always love your comments as well. And on that note, on comments and talking about replays and stuff like that, I actually had a great comment because we were talking a little bit yesterday about what to call everybody that is kind of joining in the stream. So it was Paul that left me a comment, and Paul is he suggested the Coffee Crew. So I think that was a good one. I like that one. So we're gonna go with Coffee Crew. So welcome to the Coffee Crew who is here. Always good to have you here. Now we started off. We had a good day yesterday. We thought, okay, great. This is awesome. It's going to be a we're getting that Santa rally after, and then today, not so much. So I think we can write this year in the books, hopefully, and today maybe hopefully flat on stuff, but that's okay. It was an ugly year. And on that note, we were talking a little bit yesterday about the 60-40 portfolio and how stocks have performed, how bonds have performed this year. I mean, it's been ugly, right? Let's just call it what it is. And it popped up on my Twitter shortly after the live stream, and I shared it on my over on my community tab, and I'll share it here as well because it was really interesting. Because when you actually look at everything, where it was kind of a really ugly year. So let me just share this tab over, and then we'll go from there. If I can find it, there we go. That's it right there. Let's pull that up. Hopefully you can see this okay. This was shared. You can always go back onto the community tab earlier. So it turns out 2022 was an awful year, and the actually worst year for stocks. And now this is a bit of a caveat here: the worst year for stocks and bonds since 1871. This is U.S. stuff. So if you're actually looking at this dot plot chart here, the blues are all the different years, and they've labeled out obviously bad, the really bad years with certain things happening, right? 2008, you can see. So if you see 2008 on the left-hand side there, that's where the U.S. stock, and so the left, I think you're seeing it on your left side. It's on my left side. So the bonds are on one side. Bonds were up in 2008 about 15%, but stocks were down like closer to 40. Coming back to today, 2022 in red, stocks are down roughly about 19. This is U.S. stocks down roughly about 19% for the year. But on that as well, bonds are down over, looks like about 16-17%. So not good all around. So kind of no matter what you were invested in, it wasn't a good year, unfortunately. So hopefully we can this will hopefully start to turn around at some point in 2023. We'll have to see what does happen. But I found that really, really interesting to see that. And some of the other headlines that are out today, because it's obviously the end of the year, it's the last trading day of the year. I won't pull up the sour, dour headlines, but it's basically the worst year in stocks since 2008. If we're looking at that. So unfortunately, that's not That's the most recent kind of years from that. So you can go back onto the community tab and check that out in a bit bigger detail if you wanted to go and jump into that. So not the greatest year. Now, I did have on that note with everybody's, how portfolios are doing, and it was a good comment. It was actually by Paul, because we were talking yesterday about high yield, and he commented on that one as well, saying it was a great ETF. So you can go check out the comments on the last live stream page if you want to look at that. And he was also mentioning why lock into GICs when something like PSA, the high interest savings account, you can get. So a couple of thoughts on that. Now, obviously going forward on that dot plot, there was a comment. It was from Timothy, and it was horrible. So it was but he had mentioned if it wasn't for his oil and gas stock keeping his portfolio afloat, his 1 year return would have been in the negative double digits. So I can kind of compare it to my portfolio. I'm double digit down, unfortunately, but we'll hopefully be able to turn that around a little bit in 2023. So hopefully everybody's is doing. I mean, obviously this is the time to possibly look at it. Hopefully it's not as terrible as everybody is making it out to be, but I think we've got through it, and we'll hopefully come out the other end looking a lot better. So if anybody has any thoughts like that, drop a comment. It's always good to hear on that. Now, I just had one article, because a lot of the stuff is the last trading day of 2022, and so it's all kind of a lot talking about that. But I did find one, and we've talked about it before, and I'm going to share this tab. Death by 1,000 cuts. I love these. I still love these headlines all the time. How to take stock of your subscriptions. We'll get to this actually, because MC, I saw your comment pop up just as I was posting that, so we'll pull that back up in a second. But that's exactly it. Yeah, fix GIC versus PSA, and I'm going to start investing in. I've already kind of started to put into PSA and my TFSA. I'm going to start doing a regular deposit every week on that one. That will be Monday's market close, but till Tuesday. But if you want to lock a GSE, you do lock in the rate. Actually, yeah, exactly. But PSA, which is floating. So depending on where we this is the whole thing. It is a lot like fixed versus a variable mortgage. So there's pros and cons, right, to doing both. I mean, I don't ever think you should try and time anything to lock. Like, obviously, if you're locking something in, if you try and time something, a lot of times things move so quickly, you might miss out on a couple 10 or 20, 30 basis points or something like that, depending. But you're locked in for a longer period of time. The downside, and the reason I chose to put stuff into PSA versus a GIC is partly because I can do it in Wealthsimple, so it makes it simple and keeps my TFSA in one place. But also too, it comes down to, it's much like a fixed or variable mortgage. It's easier to get out of something that's in a variable, like the ETF. If you need to, for some reason, access those funds for whatever reason, emergency or whatever, you can withdraw them, right? You can, as long as it's a trading day, you'll be able to sell, to be able to sell them. So that's one kind of thing that I liked about PSA. I should actually do maybe a regular video on it, but that's kind of the reason I chose it, because I don't necessarily want to lock something in for 5 years. Because that's the thing too. There may be some opportunity in the coming year or 2 or 3 to be able to invest in something else, right? So I like the flexibility of it that way. And in the meantime, it's paying a decent yield, and I don't see that necessarily changing. Could be. Who knows? This is the whole thing. Like, really, who knows? I don't necessarily see that changing for the next little while, anyways. And even if it does, if it goes up, great, perfect. Obviously, rates go up, we probably will increase the interest on that a little bit. But if rates come down, obviously, it's going to go the other way. So hard to know what's actually going to happen. I think we're sticking around with hopefully these. I don't want to say hopefully. It's interesting when you have it in savings, you're saying you hopefully, but if you have any kind of loans or debts and stuff, you don't want higher rates, obviously. But I mean, I think what's going to happen with rates is it's going to be whether the Bank of Canada holds. I think in January it's probably going to be a small increase, but I think they're going to try and hold it for as long as possible. We'll have to see. But lots of choices. I mean, there's no shortage. There's no shortage of choices. That's the hard part. The good part and the bad part, right? It can sometimes be confusing, but I've just chosen not to lock in. But nothing wrong with taking, what is a GIC? EQ Bank is a good one. I think they're paying 5% for a 5-year term right now. So not bad at all. Nothing wrong with, I think, doing any kind of savings, right? So that's where I have decided. And so I'll pull that article. We've talked about subscriptions before. They can be killers and they add up. So I always find these interesting because I want to try in 2023. I'm not redoing the StreamYard subscription. That's part of my savings goal, and that's part of this background too. And I'll get into that after this article on what's kind of happening with the channel. Anyways, so this breaks it down. Actually, it's interesting. The average Canadian. This is what I found really interesting. So subscription is not a new concept, but right now, there's an October survey. More than 4 in 5 Canadians have at least one streaming service, up from around half in 2016, as more people shift from cable and satellite to digital, like streaming options. So individually, one is okay, but again, a lot of people have like Netflix, Crave, Disney Plus. There's a number of them, right? And they can add up to obviously more than $40-$50 a month. Then adding on like meal kits, there you can get razors delivered to you. I just use an electric razor. That's why I have half a beard, because it's just trimmed. It's funny how I stopped shaving years ago because it would drive me crazy. My skin was very total tangent, but it was so sensitive, so I kind of stopped. And I haven't bought razors in a long time, which is kind of nice because they cost a fortune. But and then personal subscriptions like meal kits and Spotify, Apple Music, cloud storage like Dropbox, and also too if you have like any kind of subscription stuff for Patreon or YouTube subscription, or there's just so many, it adds up. And the average now is about $200 a month, what a lot of people are starting to pay on these things. So I'm just kind of it's basically looking at certain things, saying like New Year coming up, take the time now to look at we talked about it before with budgeting and bills, and look where you can cut something back in order to start possibly investing. And I'm going to try and do that with another type of subscription. I'm pretty bare bones, and a lot of subscriptions I do have. Some of them I have on my computer that I need to do for this, for editing videos, or also for work. I have, cloud storage and that kind of stuff that is paid for. But it's so it does add up at the end of, at the end of the year. One thing I actually cut back is I used to have a website, and I haven't had a website on my domain name for so long. So I'm next year when my domain hosting and stuff comes up, I'm going to let that go, because that ended up being quite expensive. I'll keep my domain name because that's only about 10 or 20 bucks a year for my domain, but I don't have a website on it. So what am I paying for hosting anymore? So that's kind of one thing I'm going to cut back. But it also mentions, and it's kind of fitting for talking about it on YouTube, it also mentions subscriptions and different products and stuff that are pushed by, and it could, not just YouTube, but like Facebook or Instagram or wherever. And subscriptions are things pushed by influencers. And the article kind of mentions to look at where you actually signed up for these subscriptions. Like go back and try and remember where you actually subscribed to these, and why you did it, and who was it. Maybe somebody that was influencing you to do it that you wouldn't normally have done, and their recommendation is to unfollow that influencer or whoever, so you're not tempted by other things. So kind of interesting, one way to kind of do it. There we go. So that's that on that. Yeah, streaming was supposed to reduce cable costs, and then all of a sudden they pretty much. I mean, I haven't I haven't had cable for. It's been, I want to say almost 20 years, like a long time. Long time ago when I rented a place when I first moved out, it included cable in the rental place. So I had it then, and then what happened is I moved to another apartment, and it didn't include cable, and I never bothered to sign up. I don't really watch much television anyways. So, and then now with streaming, I have Netflix, but it can definitely add up. And I know cable can be quite expensive. When I was with my mom last year, we looked at her cable bill because my dad used to watch a lot of TV, and he's not at home. He's in a nursing home. But so she had all these cable channels, and she was paying something like between internet and cable. She was paying, I want to say roughly about $200 a month. So, and the only time the TV would ever be on is she'd be eating dinner, and you'd maybe put the news on or something after for a bit of time. And you think, well, I can just watch news on YouTube. It's stream, or you can watch it streaming for free on your. She had an iPad, so she watches it on her iPad, and she has Netflix, so she would just watch Netflix all the time. So we canceled her cable and just have internet. So reduced her internet, reduced the cable package, and got her better, faster internet, so she'd stream better, and it's cheaper, half the price, more than half the price. So that's good. Yeah, I have a few domains and stuff too that I've done, and I used to have a website and stuff, like a blog and stuff going, but then it stopped working, and I'm techie, but I wasn't techie enough to fix it, so I literally just took it off because it's not making me. It was just more for fun. So it's like, what's the point? So, and then I used to host some stuff for friends and stuff that had websites, but they've kind of stopped. So it's like, why am I paying this? It can add up for hosting. So I gotta cancel it. It's up for this year anyway. So it's like all next year signed off, and then domain names are, $10 or $20 a year, or I basically buy them for like, 4 or 5 years, whatever the cheapest thing is to kind of keep it. So that's what I do, but do nothing with them. So maybe I shouldn't even have it. It's like one of those things. We'll see. And I'm going to hopefully pronounce this correctly. Sita, I think it is. Welcome. I think it's your first comment. So welcome to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. We were just kind of talking about high yield, but if you do check back on my live stream from yesterday, that we talked a little bit about it more there too. And there's also a great comment on there too. A few people have commented. So a few people do invest it. I don't personally, but if anybody else has a comment, fire it up. We'll put it up there. I appreciate it. Yeah, any feedback, we'll see if we can help you out. That's exactly it. I guess maybe I'm in the younger generation now, because I that's all I kind of watch is YouTube. They might have a Alphabet, Google Alphabet might have a feed. They do have premium. I don't have an issue really with the ads. For the most part, sometimes it can get a bit annoying if there's ads a lot, like if there's a lot of ads between, because if it's a longer video or something you're watching, sometimes there's ads in between. And I know you can, as a creator, you can have YouTube either do it automatically, or you can place the ads yourself. So what happens is I find a lot of creators put the ads themselves, and they put too many, or they put them at the wrong spot, where, with YouTube doing it, usually they pick a spot where there's a bit of a transition to something. So it kind of keeps you still engaged. It's not breaking that. If you're listening to maybe a podcast, like a video podcast interview, the worst thing to happen is when someone's mid-sentence talking about something, an ad comes in. So the good creators will you can actually see it with the ads. It's quite smart. Ads at the beginning, watch 2 ads. It's 15, 20 seconds. It's not the end of the deal. You hit skip ad and you start watching the thing. But some of the smarter creators will actually work into their their script or their video kind of pauses enough to end at a spot where you want to see the next thing, but they kind of leave a spot to know there's an ad, so the ad plays, and then you watch the next part because you're interested, and you're not going to click off because of an ad being placed. So it's you just get used to it. I never even have actually thought about subscribing to Google or YouTube Premium or Plus or whatever they call it, because it's like the ads don't bug. They don't really bug me. And they did, yeah. I kind of read. Hey, Justin, welcome. I'm not a football sports. I don't really watch sports, but I heard they actually just got that. So I think that'll be a subscription on there. So that's kind of smart. So if there's something, because I think with cable, you have to, if you want certain types of channels, you have to subscribe separately for certain products, right? So I don't see that might be a good revenue kind of streaming with it. So they start with NFL, and then they get NHL or football from like soccer or whatever. Yeah, I mean, that's probably a good source of revenue. Yeah, there is, MC. There definitely is more ads now, because in front of the videos there used to only ever be one. I mean, back a couple of years ago, I think there's only one played before the videos would start. Now there's pretty much always two. Some of them are short, right? There's usually like a short one, and there's usually a longer one that you have to skip. Which is you just kind of get used to it, but there is more ads. But a lot of the ones that are interspersed. So how that works, MC, is if the video is longer than eight minutes, it can have a mid-roll ads that the creator can put in at certain spots, or let YouTube do it kind of automatically. So that's why you see ads in between. But on shorter videos, shorter than 8 minutes, you don't have the ability to put extra ads. And yeah, I haven't watched cable television for a long time, but I know the ads can be pretty painful. Like, I couldn't imagine watching a full-on movie with ads like on television and stuff like that anymore. That's part of the reason I didn't subscribe or change my subscription to Netflix, because it's worth it to be able to watch a movie and not be interrupted, or between maybe episodes if you're binge watching a show or something like that. Yeah, that's probably what it is, right? People keep on cable because they want to have the sports channel. So good on them. We'll probably see more of that with whoever whatever company pays the most for the rights. Just a way to change it up. And this is the thing. So Apple, I'm not sure what Apple. I don't have an Apple TV, but so they have baseball. I've never heard of Fubo or Days, and I haven't heard of those ones. Always interesting. There's literally no shortage. The only streaming stuff I do watch is I have Netflix, and I have Amazon Prime, which I use Amazon quite a bit. I've thought about kind of canceling that one too, but it's like I kind of use it enough to make it worthwhile. And it has Prime, which has not bad. There's some not bad stuff on there every once in a while. It's almost like the streaming stuff. Like, you remember going to Blockbuster or the video store and you'd search for an hour looking for a video, and then you'd like, there's nothing here, nothing you want to watch. That's kind of what Netflix and these streaming services turn into, because you're just kind of scrolling looking for something. So a lot of times I actually just watch like a movie I've watched before, instead of trying to find a new one that I'm really not sure on. But so there's sports. That's why, yeah, I wouldn't for live games and playback. Okay, good to know. I've never really been into sports to watch, so it's not my thing. So that's why I wouldn't even know who the heck they are. Interesting. So so my goal for 2023 is to try and find like some other kind of subscription, something to cut off. But it's going to be tight because I don't have a ton of subscriptions anyways, but I will kind of look at it, or if there's maybe some way to reduce it somehow. That's my goal. And then be able to fire it into the TFSA. So, and on that note of subscriptions, StreamYard still going to be doing the challenge, but you notice a different background. Well, there's not a different background. There's no background. This is just my wall right now. So what I've been doing, coming in the new year, I'm still working on it. So I've moved my home office, it's bedroom, moved it all around. So I have a blank wall behind me, because before it was my desk was on a different wall, and behind me was a window with blinds, and it was hard because I'd have to put the green screen up, because sometimes the sun coming, even if the blinds are closed, there's too much light coming on. And then if I was filming my other videos for my channel or for this channel, what would happen is I'd be facing the blinds, and even if they were closed, a lot of times if the sun came out or whatever, it would seep through, and it would sometimes it would show up my glasses mainly, but also it would throw off the light and stuff like that. So I've switched everything around. That's why you see a white background. This might kind of change a little bit, but I'm kind of gonna go for a bit more clean and crisp in the new year. But what I've actually starting to get figured out, and this is a bit of a challenge because I'm techie, but this is brand new to me. I found some software that is a streaming software. So I have all that started to get set up, but what it will do. So I'm waiting for a couple more pieces of equipment to come in so I can do it properly. Big one is a proper microphone, and then I have waiting for a little tripod. So I will have on the stream, there'll be you're going to see different camera angles. So I'll be able to switch through from different camera angles, and just to kind of spice things up a little bit. And I'm just kind of working on the layout and stuff, and getting the system is called, or the software is called OBS. I don't actually know what it stands for. Open Broadcast Streaming, I think it is. It's a freeware kind of open source streaming software that I'll be able to use. So you won't see that StreamYard logo. It's also going to be in better quality. So it will be in full HD. So you'll be seeing the stream in better quality, which I think will be good. And the sound should improve a little bit once I get that microphone in, and a couple of camera angles. So when we do some different things, we can talk a bit different way. Because right now I'm using my webcam, and it's kind of not the greatest because I have to look at the webcam, but I have to look at comments a different place. So it'll be set up a bit different. So I'm looking forward to that kind of for the new year. We'll keep going for the new year. And I have to figure out, we'll get something from the back. Probably I'm thinking like a coffee, something to do with like a neon coffee or something like that. That might be good to go with the coffee crew. If I can get a neon, some kind of neon sign or something like that, might be kind of fun. But to start off, be plain. So then now it's great because to go on the live stream, I can literally just sit down at my desk, turn everything on, and go. I don't have to set up a green screen, because I used to do that every morning before it started. I'd have to set up the green screen and film, and then it was kind of a bit of a, it was kind of a bit of a pain, especially if I was running late. So that's kind of in the works. So I'm trying to learn that software, and I have to do some testing to make sure that everything works, because there's a certain thing you have to get plugins to make the chat come up and all that kind of stuff to build. So yeah, they do you can get a screen in the background. I don't really plan on doing, I want to get something MC that is fairly easy to put up, and also not putting big holes in the wall necessarily. But yeah, you can do kind of stuff like that. So I'll figure something out. It's a work in progress, but starting off with the cameras and stuff, and we'll go from there. Whether I get some lights and stuff in behind me, that's probably in the works too, but getting there. So looking forward to kind of getting that. But I think, yeah, depending what the LED screens are and stuff, they could be pretty pricey. And if the channel right now is not making me any money, so I can't put it, I'd rather put the money into my TFSA than spend a fortune on I can handle the background. Practice what I preach, I guess, right? And not waste money on things that aren't necessarily needed to begin with. So that's kind of that's the goal. So the new year, come in the new year, once everything kind of arrives, shipping, I guess, is delayed because it's coming from Amazon, but it's obviously the time of year, everything takes a bit longer to arrive. So just waiting on that. So mid-January, we'll probably be kind of set up and ready to go once it's tested and make sure everything works. So I'm looking forward to that. And then on the channel, we always talk about, Candace mentioned yesterday on a comment about getting monetized, and it's almost there. It's closer to being than not being. So we'll carry on the live stream. It's a lot of fun. It's so unfortunately, speaking of ads, I think you might see ads sometimes on my videos, but those would be from YouTube serving them, not me. So eventually there will be ads. So you'll have to sit through a couple of ads on my channel, but it's obviously, it throws me a few cents. So yeah, maybe I will film MC. I'll be doing a year-end video over this weekend, kind of the last update of 2022. It's almost kind of easy to look. You could look back at my last one. It hasn't been really a heck of a lot of change, but that will be put in there. So I'll be doing that. I know Candace. I don't think Candace is here today, but she filmed, and I watched on her channel. She did a predictions episode, which was kind of interesting, predicting where. I mean, we could maybe do that, something like that on one of the live streams, is predicting what 2023 will bring. But she had a kind of a top 10 predictions of kind of what she thinks is going to happen in the market 2023. So that was an interesting one. It's a time of year when everybody kind of goes that direction, right? New Year's resolutions, predictions, looking back, looking back at your mistakes, how you want to change it going forward. My portfolio has definitely been a work in progress, and just finally now I think I'm kind of happy where things are, and with my plan on it going forward. So that'll be good, with the extra little things that I'm able to do, start to dollar cost average a few things, and take it kind of slow, slow and steady. I think will be the year of 2023 for my, building up my portfolio. And then we'll see. Hopefully, hopefully it's not worse than this year. It's obviously being the worst since 2008. It's hopefully it starts to be. Hopefully things will start to improve. I hope. I think it will. Still up to optimistic for the. It's always good to be, I think, optimistic in the year, at the end of the year, to see how things are going. And so that's the update for today. If anybody has any other comments, questions, like, now's the time. Fire it in. If we want to go over anything, you can fire in a comment. If you haven't said hello yet, it's your first time, don't be afraid to say hi. It's a good group of people. If you have a question, if I'm not able to help answer it, I can usually be guaranteed that someone in the comments will have a comment or a helpful reply. If you're first time saying hi. Then hold on, I did have one more article. Where did it go here? I always lose these. It's a bad thing. I always close my tabs off. It was something on Tesla, but I can't find it now. The news seems to be all about Tesla, but there we go. So if someone has any comments on that, fire movement, financial independence, retire early, that would be nice. It seems like that the retirement is harder and harder to achieve. I was actually reading a tweet this morning, that it was talking about, and it was actually financial. It was actually an interesting tweet, because it was somebody by the name of Mark McGrath. He is what does he do? He's a certified financial planner. So he obviously, should know what he's talking about. But he was mentioning about expenses in retirement and how people actually, now this could be, it's hard to kind of know what this is. People are sometimes overestimating how much they're actually going to need for retirement, which I found interesting, because he had mentioned once you back out of expenses that typically will disappear in retirement. So he brought up mortgage, savings, children's expenses, higher tax rates, and also CPP contributions. You actually, when you back out those amounts, you don't kind of need, because you're not going to be, obviously, if you're retired, you're not probably going to be investing. So there's not that expense, I guess. So interesting how his thing with that. Now, the issue with, I think, mortgage, I kind of had mentioned about mortgages, and people seem to be carrying mortgages longer now than I think they used to in the past. So that's one thing, because you do see a lot of people that are older that had a mortgage and have had to down, but usually maybe you downsize and then you pay off your mortgage, something like that. But interesting. But we'll have to see. So Brian likes fire. And then I came to the idea late, so I was too old to be early. Well, that's good if you've been able to retire it. So, but at 55, I decided to have enough and managed to retire at 60. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know what I would do if I retired. It's like, this is the kind of thing too. You have to kind of make sure you keep busy with other ways. You can't just do nothing, right? So make sure you have some good hobbies and passions and different things that you can be involved in to keep you busy. Yeah. And that's exactly it. So I'll do some more research on that. I've heard of it before, Justin and MC, but I haven't really done a ton of looking into that. So I'm going to look into that today, and we'll see what we can find out. So realistic goal for more people is it takes into account what your expenses are and what income you need to continue your lifestyle. That's the big thing. Yeah. I mean, obviously you plan to have hopefully zero expenses when the time comes. But yeah, that's I guess, that's kind of what we're following here, is figuring out what your actual expenses are, and if you're actually going to be, how much you actually need to invest into it. And that's, the next big, the big stock to retire on with. Yeah. It's like, you might as well, it's like winning the lottery, right? You just never know. But the thing is too, I mean, you can look at Amazon, perfect example. It's down to below what it was in March 2020. So it's kind of like, what's going to happen? That's the hard part, right? So the base spending rate on the FIRE calculations is $40,000 a year. Maybe is it probably US? I don't know if it's US, Canadian, whatever, but 40. So let's just say if it's Canadian, but the adjusted number based on your own spending. But 40K is the most common case base number. So that's basically base spending for food, shelter, essentially, to carry forward, and that which is actually kind of doable. I mean, rent, obviously, if you're renting or mortgage, housing is expensive, whether you're renting or mortgage or however you're doing that. But I mean, probably doable with 40,000 a year. You'd have to definitely budget. You would definitely have to be good on your budget, but doable. Yeah. Especially if you have no debts, right? No car payment, no car payments, no large credit card balance or something like that, or lines of credits and that kind of stuff, or loans. It's probably doable. Oh, there we go. US retired guys. So we're not all Canadian. We're not all Canadian here. That's awesome. So the base measures to calculate is yearly expenses times 0.25. So you spend 40.25 million before the. Oh, okay. And it actually is 40 is actually quite a bit for someone if you'd have no other. It's no mortgage, but obviously a younger person would have some type of shelter cost, right? And even if you own something outright, you'd still have obviously property tax, maintenance, and property taxes, that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's something to be said by that. But if you're also have your investments making a decent dividends, returns. I mean, GICs right now, I mean, that can obviously pay for a lot of the expenses coming off your interest and interest in dividends that you build. So yeah, it's yeah, interesting. I'm gonna look more into that. Thanks everybody. I've heard of it, but haven't really totally looked into it. I'm just trying to sock away as much as possible. And a net salary with the ability to spend it all without saving for retirement. Yeah, you definitely have to save, right? But it's figuring out the hard part. And the hard part was saving too. Like if you decide to retire, I mean, great for you, Brian, for retiring at 60. But also too, I mean, people are usually and generally living a lot longer these days too, right? Than in the past. I mean, before you'd retire at 60, 65 and you'd live to 70, maybe 80, but then there's people that are living into their 90s or longer. So you definitely, that's the scary part too. You know, that would definitely be, that's kind of the thing that I start to worry about. I'm not close to retiring. I'm only 46, 47. I have to add that up. But so I still have a good, 20 years. But the scary part is like how long after. But then again, life is so weird because you could walk out today and get struck down by a car, walking across the street. So it's hard to know. So net 40 is 65, 60, yeah, pre-tax. Yeah. But that's a good, a bit above average in Canada's salary, probably. I would say 65, 70 seems to be about the mark. We've said it before, get rid of the car loans. Yeah, that's the thing. You don't need a new car when you're into retire. That's for sure. And again, mine is all, I keep saying it, I keep checking it. It's one of those things. I think I have now, it's finished in February, 2 months, and I'm done. So it's going to be nice. And it's funny, in my car, speaking of my car, I went out yesterday to go to the store and the battery is dead. And I'm like, oh, come on. So I thought it was something wrong with it because it was just completely dead. And so I'm like, great, another like cost of something, right? But it turns out it was sunny the day before, and when I was out, I put my sunglasses back into the case on the top, and I knocked the light, turned the light switch on, so the light drained the battery. And it was funny because every year my mom buys, she's done it since I've been driving at 16. She buys the BCA, like the automobile card, like the roadside assistance card. So I got to use it. So she was happy because every Christmas she buys me that. And I've had to use it a few times. And yesterday I did. So it was perfect. Worked out. It was just had to get a jump start. So everything was fine. So I will look. I'm going to look. We'll maybe do a fire episode, MC. That might be kind of good. We can kind of talk about that. I can post that up we'll talk about it on the full live stream. I have to do a bit more research. I'll find some more articles about it. So interesting in terms of back tests, mitigating risk, and psychology. Definitely work it into down a rabbit hole. Okay, so fire. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to search it. I'm gonna bookmark it. So I'm gonna have to probably not search for Canadian fire movement. Okay, there's a lot of it. I'm gonna look at that. That may be a good one. I'm going to look at that one. Be interesting. I'll have to search. If I just search Canadian fire, it brings me forest fires, but I found it. There's some articles on Money Sense and lots of stuff on Reddit. So I'm going to check that out. And yeah. When you're debt free, I like that. That's good saving. When you're debt free, you can save like a goalie. Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. Definitely. That's the first thing I'm looking at. Like Brian, with my car almost paid off, it's like all of a sudden I have this much more, almost, I mean, you almost have $500 a month it's like free money, so I'm used to putting it to something. I'm going to put it into my RSPs or TFSA or wherever. It's going to go somewhere. It's going to go to good use. That's for sure. yeah, that's the heart. That comes a whole different level, right? When it comes time to make sure it's properly done for tax efficiency and making sure you're not running out of money. When I get to closer to that point, that's where I'll be getting some help to make sure everything works out for sure. The biggest thing too is to make sure you're in the right thing. I mean, you can only imagine someone sitting in a fairly secure, usually, like we'll bring it back to the beginning of the stream, talking about 60-40 portfolio split. And if you had your money, obviously if you're retired, you're probably in a lot of fixed income bonds, that kind of stuff. And you just like some of these people in the last year would have been, or if they're coming up close to retirement, all of a sudden it's like, what do we do now? So you have to be careful with that. That's for sure. You have to be careful. That's the hard part. What would I do if I retire from my job tomorrow? I would. That's a good question. I probably, if I was able to travel a little bit, and I don't necessarily mean internationally, but I think around Canada, I'd probably just become a bit of a nomad and go camping a lot more, and travel around in a motorhome a lot. I think that would be it. I would have more time to do stuff like this. I would probably do more YouTube stuff. I still do a lot of photography, so I would get into that a lot more, and just have more time to enjoy that for sure. Especially if you're not having to worry about the 9 to 5, right? That would be my kind of thing. I would love to drive across Canada. That was kind of my plan, MC, when I moved to Alberta before the Yono happened in 2020. That was kind of the plan, was to actually take a trip and do stuff like that. But this is what happens. Life doesn't always play out as you plan. So that was put on hold, and then things happen, right? Never get back around to it. So eventually, but I have right now a big island to explore once the weather turns better anyway. So I'm happy with that. There we go. Thanks, everybody. We'll kind of we'll end it there. I don't know if MC. I don't know if Brian saw your question on if he enjoyed that, but maybe he'll catch it and be able to comment on the channel. Thanks for watching, everybody. It's Friday, last stream of 2022. So I do a really can't say really too many times, but I do really appreciate everybody that is joining on the channel. We have a lot of fun here. People now coming from the States, we're finding out. So that's awesome. So it's just really. It's great to have everybody here. I do appreciate it. So we'll catch on Brian. So he'll be retired for a month. That's a lot of gym time. There you go. Researching a warmer place to live. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. As long as you can enjoy it, that's good. It's good that you're able to, because a lot of people, can't, or health reasons. Hopefully everything is good. We'll leave it at that, everybody. Thanks for watching. Happy New Year. New Year's Eve tomorrow. So hopefully your New Year's is fine. No big parties planned for me, but we will be back. We'll do a update video for the portfolio for the end of 2022. See how things are doing. Obviously, not the great. We're going to be ending. I'm going to be ending the year red, but we'll have that up on the channel, and we'll be back on Monday. Market's closed Monday, but I'm around, so I'll probably jump on the live stream. So take a look at the channel. If you're subscribed, and have the notifications on, you'll get notified that it goes up. Portugal would sound nice, or Malta, Italy maybe. I have a friend that has a place in Italy, a little like apartment kind of there, and I keep telling her that I can just move there and live there, and then when she wants to go for their holiday, I'll just come back home. So that might work for me. I've never been there. It would be kind of nice to go there one of these days. Thanks for watching, everybody. That's it. I've got to get to a little bit of work today. So hopefully we'll see you in the next live stream. Before you head out, though, don't forget, hit the like button. Helps out the channel. Thanks.